Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on any purchase over $10. See the description below for details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to our January Picks of the Month video. If you're familiar with this series, you know what to expect here. We're going to talk about 15 cards that are maybe a little bit undervalued, underappreciated right now, that if they are on your want list, it might be a good time to consider picking them up. Now, a quick reminder about the Picks of the Month series. The videos in this series go out first to the gold patrons. By the time you see this on YouTube, it might be about 24 to 48 hours later. Prices might have shifted just a little bit, but I'm not anticipating a lot of big changes for the cards we're talking about today. With that out of the way, let's get into it. We'll go in color pie order, starting with Arena Rector at $12.19. Generally, I'll say this about Battle Bond cards. A lot of product came out. A lot of people were excited about it. We saw some early spiking. Then eventually it started to settle down as people's attention moved on to things like Commander 2018. Right now, we're at a point where the prices feel pretty low, maybe rock bottom. So for some of the key singles, if you've been putting off grabbing them, might be a good time to think about it, including this one. Arena Rector did see a little bit of light legacy and vintage play initially. Sometimes you'll still see it show up in a deck here or there. But really, this card's all about Commander, and I do think that's the format that can best take advantage of this ability. This eventually will get reprinted, sure, but we don't know when that's going to be. Perhaps by the time that happens, it might be a $30, $40 card, and yes, it will see a decline at that point, but it might not decline back down to $12, $13 again. I think this is a great pickup. Next, we have Gideon of the Trials at $5.41. This is a card I've talked about in previous Picks of the Month videos. And even though you have to remember Gideon doesn't see as much modern play as he was seeing for a little while because Teferi elbowed him out of some of those control builds, but I do think down the road, as Wizards keeps making Gideon cards, that eventually you're going to have enough good Gideons out there to perhaps have a modern build or at least some kind of casual build that a lot of people will be excited about. And if that's the case, then yes, this has potential to go up quite a bit. If you can grab these for around $5, $6, I would say why not get a playset. Jace Beleren from the original printing, Lorwyn, $5.57. I went with a lot of the original printings in this particular video because I do think they're going to do the best in maintaining their value even as reprints occur. This card, of course, has been reprinted, but I don't necessarily feel a big demand right now for Wizards to go back and reprint the original 5 Planeswalkers. I think if they're going to want to put Jace in a set, they're going to make a new Jace, or they're going to reprint one of the big Jaces in a supplemental product like Jace the Mind Sculptor. I don't know if there's a lot of opportunity to visit these early Planeswalkers anymore. I'm sure it will happen at some point, but again, if you buy that Lorwyn version, I don't know how much value it's going to truly lose. This is an awesome Commander card, great for cubes and casual play. Pactum Negation, $13.53. This is from Future Sight, again going with the older version of the card here. Now, much like the Lorwyn card we just saw, this is from that time period of Magic, say it with me now, that had a lower print run comparatively to other sets around it during the time. So, cards like Pactum Negation from Future Sight, or even Jace from Lorwyn, they're harder and harder to find all the time in good condition, so that's why I wanted to go with the older copy here. Now, this particular card also sees competitive play, unlike some of the cards we've already looked at today. You'll find this in Amulet Titan, which is a modern deck that is heating up. I do think that deck has potential to see more play now that KCI has been banned, so we'll have to watch that one. If that's the case, this card definitely could go up very soon. Also, this is found in Ad Nauseam decks and some other builds out there too. Vendilion Click at $22.72, and sticking with the theme, this is the Morning Tide copy. And again, Morning Tide is part of that era of Magic as well with a lower print run. And this one also sees competitive play, much like the previous card. You'll find this out of the sideboard or sometimes the main of Azorius or Jeskai control decks in Modern. You'll find this in the sideboard of a lot of legacy decks like Miracles, Azorius Stoneblade, for example. Those are probably the biggest ones. Maybe this doesn't see the same amount of competitive play it once saw, but it's still out there, and this is a card you want to pay attention to even though it's been reprinted. Thoughtseize from Lorwyn, see the trend here, $24.12. Again, you can find cheaper copies if you go with a more recent printing, sure. But this original one is going to be really nice to have in the future. This is a key part of Grixis Death Shadow decks in Modern. You're going to find this in Jund, Golgari Midrange, 2 other big Modern decks right now. Also, other decks in that format, as well as Legacy and Vintage. Imperial Recruiter. Okay, this one's a little more expensive. I know I can't afford this one, $147.99. But if you can afford a copy of this, it might not be a bad pickup. This has lost a lot of value ever since the Masters 25 copy came out. And this original Portal 3 Kingdom version, English language copy of the card can be really, really difficult to find, especially in good condition. This still sees light legacy play, not as much as it once did, but it's not about playability when it comes to this card. It's really more about the rarity behind it. And if you're going to buy a card from this set, this one at least feels achievable. It feels like it's going to go up as opposed to stay stable for a long time. So this is one to at least consider. It's also a pretty cool commander card to play with too. Najeela, the Blade Blossom, down to $6. Okay, more in my price range now. This is another Battle Bond card, and like I was saying, I think it's a good time to buy Battle Bonds. And this is a very popular commander. I mean, everybody likes Tribal. This plays into Warrior Tribal. It has 5 colors of color identity, so you can make this your commander and play all 5 colors. There's been a lot of really cool brews and powerful decks based around this card recently. Again, the attention just isn't on it as people moved on to other things in the recent months. Enriquez, Slumbering Isle from Commander 2018 at $4.51. These Commander 2018 cards are interesting to me because those particular products were not as well received as some of the other decks in the past. So it makes me wonder, does that mean that there's a lot of these sitting on shelves and maybe these cards will stay very stagnant for a while? Or does it mean that because people weren't interested in it, that not as many were ordered, hence not as many were printed, and then perhaps down the road you might see some more spiking? I'm not really sure which one it is, but I do know this. If you can find some of the key cards for less than $5, I would consider picking up a copy so you have it for your commander decks in the future. This one in particular is actually pretty good right now because there has been a deck circulating around this card as the commander, which has garnered some attention. A lot of people have been picking up the singles in that deck. This card hasn't moved a whole lot yet, but some of the other cards in that build already have that are older and harder to find. I definitely would grab this if you can find it for under $5. Vindicate. Okay, another old school card, Apocalypse. Yes, this did get reprinted in Eternal Masters. Yes, it did get reprinted in Masters 25. But you know what? $5.56, under $6 for the original. Great commander card, sees a little bit of legacy play, very light, but at least a little bit. Why not grab a copy? Xantcha, Sleeper Agent, as we go back to Commander 2018, $3.54. I think this is a steal. A lot of people have been building decks around her. They're powerful. They're a lot of fun. And you can get this for under $4 right now. Plus, we got all these Rakdos cards to play with from Ravnica Allegiance now. Could bring some attention on this card very soon, perhaps. And here's another one from Commander 2018, Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow, the most popular one out of the ones we're talking about today at $7.99. Now, here's a card that is really sweet. It's interesting. It sparks the imagination when it comes to deck building for Commander. And when is this thing going to get reprinted, right? Maybe in a Commander product in the future, like an anthology or something like that, perhaps. Who knows what the price is going to be when that finally happens. Chalice of the Void from Mirrodin, $41.52. Not a cheap card, but a very, very good competitive card here that lost a lot of value when the Masters 25 reprint came out. Now, you can find that copy a little cheaper, but not much cheaper. If you're going to buy the card anyway, spend a few extra dollars and go ahead and get this copy. This is the original. Over time, it's going to hold value the best, like I've been saying, and this sees a lot of play. It's restricted in Vintage, but sees tons of play there. Modern decks, Legacy decks, you'll find this, especially the Eldrazi-based decks, and also the Prison Whir decks, which are getting more and more popular in Modern right now. There was a copy that came in third place last weekend, as a matter of fact, at the Star City Games Modern Classic. This is definitely a card to keep an eye on in the coming weeks. Crucible Worlds from 5th on, $19.93. Another card that shows up in that Whir deck I was just talking about, the one that came in third place, was running a copy of this in the main. Okay, not 4 copies like Chalice, but it was still in there. Also, you'll find this many times in sideboards of other Modern builds, like Tron or Control. And sometimes it shows up in other Modern decks, other Legacy and Vintage decks as well. But where this really shines is Commander, Cube, other casual formats. It's just a really sweet card generally. I love the interactions that you can find between this and some lands that can be sacrificed. And aside from that, who would have thought you'd be able to grab an original copy of this card for under $20 about a year or two ago, right? You wouldn't have believed it, but the Magic 2019 reprinting of this card really took its toll on the price, but I don't think it's going to go down any lower at this point. Rashad Import from Mercadian Masks. Again, sticking with the original copy, $50.39. Yes, you can get a cheaper copy of Masters 25 if you just want to go ahead and play some Death and Taxes. However, I do think long-term this is a great card to have in your collection, even if it's just one copy. It does see play, like I said, in Death and Taxes, also lands, other Legacy and Vintage decks too. people will always gravitate towards this original copy with the original card frame, whether they just want to trick out their legacy or vintage deck, or if they just want to have it in their collection as opposed to the newer version of the card. Many of the cards that were reprinted in Masters 25, enough time has passed now that they've kind of hit their bottom price. It's time for them to start creeping up again. Alright, that concludes the January Picks of the Month video. We'll be doing this again in February. Now, one thing to remember with this series, this isn't about getting rich. Like today, we didn't talk about any reserve list cards. In fact, if you want to make money off a Magic card, I would never buy anything that is not on the reserve list. As a matter of fact, anything can be reprinted at any time. Look at Back to Basics recently, right? What I am trying to accomplish with this video, though, is to give you a heads up when I think a card is at its low price for the time being. And if you want to pick up a copy for Commander or 4 copies for a Legacy deck or something, it's just a reminder that this might be a good time to do so. With that being said, though, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.